What's up?
Yeah.
Welcome to Playback, everybody. My name is Nate.
My name is Brandon.
Today, we are on episode 2 of our Reggae Summer series, where we're doing exclusively reggae albums of mine and Brandon's choosing for the whole summer. We're doing 6 of these. Last one we did was Exodus by Bob Marley, which was awesome. Thought it was like such a great, fun discussion. And today we have a really interesting contrast to that record. I'm so glad that it lined up this way, that we're following that one with this one. I think they really make a very interesting contrast to each other. And I think we'll go to illustrate exactly how much depth and nuance there is to this genre of music. So with all that being said, today Brandon chose the album Night Nurse by the late, great Gregory Isaacs. Brandon, you chose Night Nurse. Why did you choose Night Nurse? What is Night Nurse? Let's dive into it.
Yeah. Well, why did I choose it? It has a lot to do with what you were talking about in terms of the contrast that it paints to Exodus, to Bob Marley, and to a lot of roots reggae music that we're going to be talking about this summer. And yeah, I just wanted to, with my picks for Reggae Summer to kind of, in which I know you do too, to kind of try to show the broad scope of the music. Reggae is something that could potentially seem to be something, and you even hear people say it all sounds the same, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
that's a take that is out there, and that you hear from time to time,
which is a lazy take. I think on this show we're here to fight that sentiment.
Yeah,
we're here to show you. We're here to give you the ammo, to give you the verbiage, to give you the taste, the palate, to fight that sentiment, right?
Yeah. The at the very least, the education.
The too. Yeah, the education.
Yeah, because I mean, it's I don't know. It's a take that I think it's understandable when you have a limited amount of data. You know what I mean? Like
it is.
If you got a limited sample size, if you've only heard 10 rock and roll records, rock and roll sounds the same. But when you're steeped in it, it doesn't. So
the interesting thing about the contrast between Night Nurse and Exodus as well is less in the like sound of the recording or the band, because I think they're both equally like exquisite productions. Like this is like a 10 out of 10 record when you're talking like recording quality and like sound and stuff like that. High fidelity album is Night Nurse, and it's less in even the styles of playing, although they're very different. And I think to a layman, like you're saying, maybe they're not, but like to me, they're super fucking different styles of reggae playing on this. And I think this is something we'll get into. We'll get into all this later. But the biggest contrast for me is that whereas Exodus and a lot of music in that ilk is very explicitly religious, which was a big theme of the last episode we did. This is actually not entirely secular, but is basically a secular version of roots reggae is basically what this is, which is really interesting. And the funny thing about that is that Gregory Isaacs was a Rastafarian, but in his, not all of his music, but in a lot of his music, especially his most famous music, he was not explicitly Rastafarian. His music was about romance. It was about fucking. His music was about, and he was a party boy. He drank. He did drugs. He was not
a ladies' man.
He was a ladies' man. Yeah, he was not like your. He was a bad boy, Rasta,
and that was his celebrity persona. Was as the ladies' man. Like whether or not he was in real life, maybe he was. I don't know. I never met him, but that's his. You know what I mean? Like regardless of what Prince's real actual behavior was like in life, there's what his persona was.
Yes.
Right. The way that he's marketed to be. And so Gregory Isaacs' entire stage persona was Mr. Loverboy, Mr. Loverman.
It's interesting because it's like when we were talking about Bob Marley on the last episode, how you don't lump him in with the Bowies and the Princes and the Keith Richards. He's more of like, he has this more like social presence.
You lump him in with freedom fighters.
Nelson
He's
Mandela.
In there with Che Guevara. He's not
Che Guevara,
with Mick Jagger. Yeah.
Gregory Isaacs, you could totally lump him in with the Mick Jaggers, and like that's what he was.
Yeah.
That is what he was, and it's dope. Like he was.
Yes.
He was a true swagged out rock star. Like
he was like Jamaica's version of like Motley Crue, like a Sunset Strip, hair metal act. You know, just like hedonism and just like it's love making time, right? And you know, Gregory Isaacs himself is really interesting. You know, he's, you know, for reggae appreciators, I don't think it would be crazy to say that he may be one of the choices of like that would end up being on like a reggae singer Mount Rushmore. You know, if you only had to pick 4 or 5 figures to like represent the whole thing, he's definitely in the conversation to be one of those top people.
I agree. He has to be.
Yeah, you're right. And but he had such a very diverse career. You know, he had been around for a long time. He'd been singing and making music since like the early 70s, maybe even the late 60s.
I think I saw 68 was his first single.
There you go.
And he recorded it under a different name. He had either Gregory Isaacs wasn't his birth name, and he went by his birth name on his first record, or it was the vice versa. Like he had like a stage name for his first record or something like that.
Yeah, but so a lot of artists in the Jamaican music industry during that time, not all of them, but a lot of them would have sort of like sort of loyalty, or I don't know if loyalty is the right term, but they would tend to work with 1 or 2 producers in particular. You know, like they would sort of end up kind of being within the stable of a certain producer or a certain studio or a certain label, you know?
Yes, and he worked with everybody.
Almost literally and possibly literally every single producer, every label, every studio over the course of his career. You know, he sang everywhere and for everyone. And he was also he was like a multi-hyphenate. You know what I mean? Like how they say, like, I'm a lawyer / personal trainer / actor / waiter.
Yeah, yes.
You know, like he did it all. Like he owned his own record store, his own record label.
Yep.
African Museum, which he founded with Errol Dunkley, who's another great singer. So Gregory is an example of someone who ended up working with pretty much every single figure in that whole industry, which not everyone did, you know, like there were, like I said, there were different loyalties and stuff going on. And so he made a lot of records. Gregory Isaacs is one of the more prolific artists.
It's like said that there's 500 Gregory Isaacs albums. Now, most of that being like compilations and shit and you know, rehashes of, you know, prior material 1,000 times over, but like the dude was like a fucking machine. Like
he was a machine.
You know, you don't get 500 compilation albums from like 10 records. You do have to get that many compilation records. You do need like 100 records, and I think that's probably closer to where he ended up by the end of his career, was like around 100, give or take, original albums. 100 fucking albums.
Isn't that amazing?
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. And he passed away when he was 59. He made that many records, and he never even lived to be 60 years old.
Crazy.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was such a hardworking guy.
Yep.
And like we said, you know, he predominantly sang like love songs and was definitely known for that. But over the course of that career, especially in the earlier times, you know, he also did sing a lot of really conscious, political, spiritual, Rasta ass songs.
Yeah.
You know,
He had dreadlocks. I think in his, I mean, he had a lot of struggles in his personal life that I think probably prevented him from, I think, drug use and his fame and his persona probably prevented him from living out like the full like Rasta life that he may have wanted to do. But
it's true. Like I think that the brand and the way in which he became famous and the way in which his like career was opening doors for him, you know, and again, outside of Jamaica, because he was one of the people, like, you know, like along with Jimmy Cliff and Toots and Peter Tosh and stuff like that. Like he was one of the ones to really, really hit it big internationally to an international audience, like especially in the UK. But those doors were opening it in sort of a more of a hedonistic, sort of a persona, not so much like the way that the world wanted Bob Marley to be, right? Which is like, you know, teach us the message, you know, teach us this interpretation of the Bible, Bob. Show us the way. Show us the way to freaking salvation and enlightenment, Bob. You know, the world was asking Gregory, like, dude, like, give me some fireside music to bone my lady, you know, like that. And so, you know, who knows what was in his heart. I think in some interviews, like, he really did actually talk about that. Like he regretted the sort of the lifestyle sort of led him astray from his religious convictions and stuff, you know?
Because of whatever it may be, the trappings of fame or the persona that he developed, it led him to kind of like an all new, maybe not all new, but like a very different and very distinct style of reggae that is less conscious and is more about kind of fun stuff that maybe you would more expect from
club music.
It's like club music. And another very fun and interesting byproduct of that is that the demographics shifted from men to women. He has like a huge female audience. You sent me Brandon sent me a bunch of really great resources to help me research Gregory and prepare for this episode. And one of the ones you sent me was Brixton Academy. Is that what it was? What was it?
Yeah, Gregory Isaacs live at Brixton Academy, which is a venue in London in 1984, I think, which is so 2 years after Night Nurse came out.
Right. My biggest takeaway from that was, okay, this is in London. You can see in the video, it's like a mostly black audience, if not entirely completely black, right?
Yes. Everyone in every camera angle I saw was black. Yeah.
But on top of that, it was almost predominantly women.
Yes.
It was like
the ladies were in the house.
The women were falling out of the fucking rafters.
Yes.
Like it was. I just like I've never seen a reggae show quite like that. Like where it was mostly women. They knew all the fucking like songs.
Young women. Young, attractive women who could be anywhere that is more happening and more cool.
Yes.
But they're here at this reggae show. Yeah.
And he's just absolutely every single song dropping panties.
Yes. Yes. just delivers the first lyric and the band changes and they all go, ah! It's like a Beatles concert, you know?
Hollering and wailing and just like
for Elvis. He in some ways he was sort of like a Jamaican Elvis kind of, you know?
I think for the effect he had on women, that's a good comparison. But it makes for a really interesting
except he wrote all of his own songs.
That is true. But it makes for a really interesting, just like comparison point, because like I think a great litmus test for a lot of music or bands is like when you go to a show, like how many girls are there. It immediately, in my opinion, if there's girls at your show, your music's probably better, and you're probably cool. You're probably pretty cool. Like, and like for instance, I just saw Queens of the Stone Age, and one of my favorite things about that band is like when they came out in like the 90s, the reason they went by Queens of the Stone Age and not Kings of the Stone Age is because Kings of the Stone Age sounded really masculine, and they wanted to have girls in the audience because it's cool to have chicks at your show. They didn't want to alienate women, and they wanted to make sure it was fun. It was like a fun environment. You could dance to their music, right? And
it is more fun when
there's women around.
When the crowd is co-ed. Yeah.
It's way more fun. Yeah.
That's true.
So yeah,
I was gonna say when it's co-ed, but yeah, like you're right. When there's no girls around, it's less fun.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's true.
There's something to be said for that, and it makes for a really interesting dynamic. It makes for music that is about a lot of times it's about women, and it's coming from a much more like sensitive place, and I mean sensitive like to their experience and to their issues, right? And obviously when we're talking about Jamaican music and reggae, a lot of times these guys aren't sensitive to that stuff. So it makes Gregory Isaacs kind of a very interesting outlier among his peers at the time.
Okay, so here I made this little thing, which is a summary of what every song on this album is about.
Let's go. Okay,
because I wanted to just show and demonstrate like how different the scope of this album is to Exodus, for example, and by extension, choose any Roots reggae album that you want. So this is song by song. What the song is about, because like we were talking about last time, Exodus, right? It's like the first track, Natural Mystic, is about the Armageddon is coming, and then the second one is about you can't trust what politicians say, and then the third one is about like the destruction of the spirit and the heart of evil men and shit. Okay. So this album, first song, Night Nurse, it's about women are very important to me and I need them. Or possibly drugs, which we can get into later. There's the question. True. Is the song Night Nurse about drugs?
A literal...
Or is it about a lover?
A literal female administrator of your drugs.
Right, like I can't get to sleep without my drugs. You know what I mean? But
I've never, I've never looked at it that way. I've always read it as it's just like I need a very special lady nurse who
and in fact I've got one. Yeah. I've got this woman and she is I can't do without her. I gotta have her, right?
Yes. Okay, continue.
So that's the first song. Second song,
Stranger in Town.
Okay, Stranger in Town. It's about what up, girl? I'm from out of town. Okay? And that's it. Is it about anything else? No, that's it. It's yo, what up? I'm from out of town. How's it going? Okay.
Objection Overruled. Next.
It is about, girl, I'm sorry, please forgive me. That's it. No more, no less.
Yep.
Okay. Next one.
Hot Stepper.
It's I'm a bad boy, wanted by the law.
Hot.
That's all. Next one.
Cool Down the Pace.
Cool Down the Pace is about, what up, girl? Let's vibe nice and slow.
Okay,
that's all.
Then Material Man is...
Okay, this is the only exception. This is the only one that verges out, like sort of touches on some consciousness.
Some Rasa stuff. I agree, yeah.
Yeah. So this one is about, hey, bro, quit valuing material wealth over spiritual integrity.
Yeah.
Okay?
Just
stop that.
Try women instead, maybe. Try valuing maybe...
Just relax, bro.
Try valuing
just vibe with your woman.
Maybe
and
dead
quit
ass.
being so greedy.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Then Not the Way, which I love this song.
This is such a good song.
I
this
love
is the most misogynistic one.
It is, yeah.
But
it's so good.
It is and it isn't because it's about, hey, bro, quit being so mean to chicks.
Yes.
Stop being so mean to women, dude. Now, he continues to talk on the subject after he's already made that point, and he goes beyond and continues to say, like, because chicks are, like, dumber than us. Like, you have to treat them differently, dude. And it's like, okay, all right.
It's coming from a very paternalistic place.
Yes.
And he's kind of looking at women as, like, hey, our daughters take a little longer, dude. Like they need to learn, and you got to be patient with them. Like it's like it's really condescending, but it's also kind of sweet at the same time. But like overall, I think maybe most women who listen to it would probably think of it as like a very it's a dude. Yeah, like you're thinking of them like almost like children, which is kind of stupid.
But the main point of the song is, hey man, stop hitting women. What the fuck is wrong with you? Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And
that's
then the last song.
That's a tough favorite. That's a tough fave of mine, but I love
it. It's a great song, though. It's an amazing song. Musically, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Sad to Know You're Leaving.
It's about, I'm going to miss you, girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. So you're right. It is about 90% about just the ladies.
Just the ladies, just these adventures in romance. That's pretty much all it is, right?
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And I think also, like, I mean, if you get this record and you look at the album cover, you get only like a keyhole view of like his appeal. He's a very handsome guy.
Would you look at that album cover?
It's so great.
Just do a Google image search of Gregory Isaacs and look at all the pictures of him like before the mid 80s.
Yeah,
because he kind of ruined his face with drugs, but
he fell off a little bit. Yeah,
but before the drugs took their toll,
super handsome,
beautiful man,
super handsome guy, a super handsome guy. But even that, right? I mean, that'll get you on any day. But
yeah, man.
But if you were to zoom out on this photo somehow and see like his normal attire, like especially like his stage wear, this motherfucker, dude.
The way he dressed.
The way he dressed was so dope. It was so sick. He would basically wear exclusively white suits, like a white suit with a white fedora or like a white like Panama hat maybe is kind of more, I think it's more of a Panama hat.
Or some kind of like creamy blue or like white
crushed velvet.
Yeah.
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 And
something that's really hard to keep clean.
Yes. And
he's always wearing it.
And like two-tone like shoes. Like he just like he really did not dress like most Jamaican stars of his era. Like he dressed totally unique. But the thing that I love about it is he almost was kind of dressing like fucking it's a very American style of dress. Like it's really like Miami Vice. Like he's kind of dressed like Don Johnson or something. Like it's super Miami. It's super fly. It's very like coastal and vacation and like Mediterranean almost. Like it's like, and at the same time, kind of like 30s mobster, like gangster a little bit. Like it's beautiful, it's elegant, but also his look kind of has this really dangerous feel to it at the same time because of the suit aspect. Like coupled with like how great of a singer he is, how sweet his voice is, the topics in his songs, and he's so handsome. He's such a he's just a beautiful man. It's like, dude, he's fucking irresistible. I get it. I totally get what the ladies were into.
Yeah, like what they say, like in the boy bands or whatever. It's like, I don't know what it is, but you've got it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Yep.
That guy, he's got it.
He was dressing for the female gaze. He really was. He was dressing real sharp, and it was for the ladies to gawk at him. He was a himbo.
He was totally a himbo.
He was a himbo.
Yes.
Oh my God. Yes.
So this album, Night Nurse, this is his album that came out in 1982.
Yes.
Okay. This is like in the aftermath of Bob Marley passing away, right? So this album is a little bit of a slice of what was going on in Jamaican music and the Jamaican music industry. During this window of time, which is like, holy crap! Now what do we do? No one was expecting that Bob Marley would just be taken off the chessboard.
Yep. Yeah.
So we're in this post-Bob world.
Yeah.
Now, and by the way, Night Nurse is unquestionably his most famous album. I think most would agree it is his best quality album.
Big time.
It has the song Night Nurse is by far his most famous song. And due to the drugs, basically, this is probably his last like great album. Like this is the best that his music ever got because the drugs started to interfere with his performance.
Up to this point, yeah, this was his high watermark. And I don't know what happened. You might know, but like and this is a really interesting fact about this record, is it came out while he was in jail.
Yes.
It released while he was in jail.
Yes. So this album was made and came out so like in the early days of Gregory's emerging very serious drug problem.
Right.
Okay. By some accounts, what led him to, start using drugs more often was just like the mental pressure of his fame and just the way that he was freaking hounded after by these legions of women, like, had kind of a mental effect on it. It was challenging for him. And that's what led him to kind of start using drugs. And
funny thing about that too, that almost kind of rubs up against his public persona, is that he was like a happily married guy. He had a wife, and by all accounts, he was like a great husband and
yes, and a good friend and a
really
loyal
sweet
and such a hard worker.
Yeah, right.
He was a diligent fucking guy. Like, he was just. And this is what I mean. On this show, I sometimes do just because my career has led me to work right next to and alongside a lot of really famous people. Mm-hmm. I do sometimes, talk about this where I'm like, you guys, like they're not who they seem to be in the public. Like, they're such fucking hardworking, dedicated people.
Right.
They are always working. Right. Their job is to be themselves. Mm-hmm. When you're as famous as Gregory Isaacs is, when you're as famous as Mariah Carey is, or you're as famous as whoever, your job is to be Mariah Carey. Yeah, your job is to be Gregory Isaacs. You're always at work.
It's almost like if a little kid came up to a Mickey Mouse mascot at Disneyland. And Mickey Mouse, the mascot, just was kind of like, whatever, dude, and like brushed the kid off. That would never happen, right? Exactly. It is his job to be fucking Mickey Mouse. Even though underneath the mascot helmet, it's some guy, it's Larry, right?
Right.
Or it's Beth,
That's right.
You don't ever see Beth or Larry because their job is to be Mickey Mouse.
Is to be Mickey Mouse. That's such a good analogy. And that's why at Disneyland they have people do Mickey Mouse in shifts so that each one of them can have a life outside of being Mickey.
Guess who doesn't get a shift? Guess who doesn't get a shift break?
That's right. These celebrities. No one else can take over being Mariah Carey for her.
Nope.
Right? And what's important about that is that the persona of Gregory Isaacs, this lover boy, that's a product.
Yes. It sold records.
Exactly. Microsoft makes computers and Gregory Isaacs makes lover boy persona.
Yeah.
Just as much as he makes songs, he makes persona. He makes these photos. Look at this photo that's on the front of the Night Nurse album. That's his product. And so anyway, like you say, his personal life didn't match that, and it was tough on him. So that So they say that's what, led to him to start to use drugs. And unfortunately for him, he got that, the unfortunate thing of having that demon that some of us have, where it's like, man, once it gets you, it did not let go of him.
Really, like horrible, debilitating cocaine and like crack cocaine problem, to the point of where like his dreads fell out. He actually buzzed his head because his hair was falling out, and he lost, by the late 90s, early 2000s, he lost all of his teeth.
Lost his teeth. His palate changed. In the way that like if you've ever known or met someone who uses a lot of crack cocaine, like the shape of your skull changes. Like
he doesn't look the same at all. It's like wild.
And he doesn't sound the same either. You can hear it in his vocal performance. And I think I don't. Who knows? But I think it's kind of alluded to in some of the information I read and some of the videos you sent that I watched. It's like alluded to, like the reason he has such a prodigious catalog and he was so prolific was basically by the late 80s, early 90s, and for like that whole time it was in service of his drug habit. He was making records so he could buy drugs. Yeah, exactly. Just banging out another one and another one, and the quality really suffered.
Yeah.
So and like we were talking about before, this album, his best one, because of that influence, this might, it pretty much is like it never got better than this. Mm-mm. It halted his upward trajectory in the quality of the music that he was making. And so, because he was so famous, whatever law enforcement folks, I don't know the specifics of it, of who they were, but he was so prominent, and the extent of his drug use was so widely known. They raided his house, found a bunch of drugs, a bunch of guns, which now the guns, I don't have a total understanding of what and why. I'm really ignorant to a lot of the specifics of the realities of living in Trenchtown in Kingston at the time, but I think that guns are just kind of something that people just may or may not have.
Seems like what I mean? It just seems like a thing that rich musicians throughout history do, is they buy guns and drugs. What's the Warren Zevon song?
Yeah. And especially when you live in a gangland.
Yeah.
In a zone of gang warfare, such as early 80s Kingston.
Yeah, look at the stuff we were just talking about in the last episode. It was like constant robberies, and there were so many artists that we left off the list of who were murdered, like reggae artists that were murdered. Like,
that's right.
We
mentioned a few.
There's like
many,
way more.
Many more.
Yeah. So like, yeah, like to me, it's not really a mystery. It's just, I bet you everybody in Jamaica had a gun back then, or Kingston more specifically.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard it ranging from, this just his personal guns were there and he got in trouble for them, all the way to allegations that Gregory Isaacs was involved in drug trafficking. I don't know what the truth is. None
of that shit would surprise me in the slightest. I mean, think about these guys. And I'm obviously not alleging anything, but like to me, it would be so easy. Like, look, they have the perfect like alibi. They're international stars. They travel everywhere. They travel in circles.
Traveling. That's a good point.
They travel with people who would have connections to drugs and would have connections to people to sell drugs to. And they have the perfect front to launder money, which is like, oh, we actually sold 6,000.
And you need money.
Yeah.
Because you're from the ghetto.
Yeah. It's like, oh, we actually sold 6,000 tickets last night. I know the concert hall didn't look exactly full, but, on paper, we sold many more tickets.
I never thought about it like that, but yeah, maybe.
Yeah. They could
Maybe.
he could have easily been living that Miami Vice life, dude. Like for real,
He could have been.
Like, but who knows? But
yeah, and then by some other accounts, he seems like he was too busy.
Yeah, and he seems like too
to be
sweet.
Thinking about that,
like too sweet of a guy. Like who? Why would he do that?
Yeah.
And he seems like the drug thing was like his own personal like demon that was kind of hounding him. I don't know if he gave a shit about.
Yeah, and it seemed like the kind of a thing that he tried to kind of like keep hidden or from people close in his life.
Yeah,
like,
he didn't even talk about it until it was like obvious that he was suffering from drug addiction, right? And he like I think it was like
to talk publicly about it. Yeah,
like he publicly announced he was like trying to get help and like but
the damn shame, dude.
It is, man.
Damn shame.
Yeah.
But they raided his house, and when Night Nurse came out, Gregory was in jail.
Right.
Yeah.
And there were artists like Yellow Man. There were other artists that were writing songs like Free Gregory. Like Yellow
Gregory
Man
Gregory Free.
Yeah. Like Yellow Man came out with a song that was
which is on a rhythm of one of Gregory Isaacs' songs.
Yeah.
Which is
It's basically a song that is like get the word out, like Gregory's out of jail, like let's fucking go,
celebrating.
And those were his like fellow like peers, you know. It's like it's so dope. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, he was a beloved individual.
Yeah. This album like blew up in popularity, sold a bunch. His biggest album ever, while he's sitting in a jail cell, which is awesome.
Pretty punk rock.
So sick.
I hope listeners who are learning about reggae as we go through this, I hope you're noticing a theme here, because we talked about Bob, now we're talking about Gregory, and in both cases, I hope you're noticing how fucking punk rock these guys are. Okay, reggae is not just like, let's chill out with a drink and a coconut and like, hey, peace, man. No, dude. Reggae is hardcore. Okay? Reggae is fucking punk rock. Okay?
These guys were fucking gangsters, dude.
Yeah, and I mean, look, most 99 times out of 100, the musicians themselves were not actually involved in the gang warfare, but they're from that world, and it was happening all around them.
Even if you personally aren't, receiving any violence on your own person, there is still a very powerful effect that living in a violent society can have on anybody, right? So
yeah, and even it was even especially compounded for the Rastas, right? Because this danger in this kind of violent situation was there for everyone who lived in these parts of the city, in these parts of the country, right? Regardless of your religious affiliation. But for Rastas and for Dreads, it was even more so. Like
they were targeted.
Exactly. Like look up. There's something called the Coral Gardens incident.
Okay.
Look up that. Like, I'm talking to the listeners there, but
sure.
The police would be given specific mandates to round up and murder Rastas.
Right.
Right. And the wearing of the dreadlocks that you can see in Gregory's lovely picture here on his album cover, the wearing of the dreadlocks is like such an important thing because it's a marker that you can never take off. It's like putting a tattoo, I am Rasta, on my forehead, right? It's a signifier that it makes you unable to like hide the fact that you're Rasta, basically, you know? And any part of society, any part of Babylon that will not work with you, it makes you even unable to either accidentally or on purpose participate with that. Any place where you're gonna be rejected, you will be. It sets you apart, and so it shows the bravery that by even wearing those at the time could get you killed. you're even in more danger than the danger that all of the rest of your family and friends are in. The backing band on this album is one of the biggest reasons why I picked it and why I wanted to make sure that it's in our Reggae Summer run here in the first year.
They are the dopest band. And
those who know.
Yeah, dude.
Okay? Like, yeah. Everyone knows who Sly and Robbie is. Everyone knows who the Wailers are. Everyone knows who the Upsetters are and everything. But like, I would venture to say that those who know, they know. The Roots Radics were the fucking dope.
And they're so dope that they're on another episode that's coming up.
Yes, yeah. We're going to talk about them again.
Yeah.
There's another episode that's coming that it's the same backing band.
Yeah.
They're called Roots Radics.
Roots Radics.
Roots Radics. So it's a one of a few like actually cohesive backing bands in Jamaica at the time.
Yeah,
so,
you got like the Revolutionaries, you got Roots Radics, you got Sly and Robbie, you got like the Barrett Brothers or another like kind of famous like rhythm section. I mean, who are some other like backing bands?
Yeah, so the thing is, what's really rare is when it's a full band.
A full band, right? Which was this, right? Which was Roots Radics.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, like for example, like even like you said, the Revolutionaries, that was something that's more similar to like the Upsetters, right? Which is that's the name of an in-house band. So a certain studio and a certain producer at that studio, who's resident at that studio, that's what they'll call whoever their session players are.
Yes. And it's often the same guys, but not always.
And in some cases, very much not always.
Right.
And like the Upsetters and the Revolutionaries are two good examples of like who played drums for the Revolutionaries, like all drummers.
Yeah.
Who played bass in the Revolutionaries. Right. All of them did. They just came through, and whoever's playing there that day, that's what the Revolutionaries. It's a marketing thing to sell records. You know what I mean?
So in this instance, they're more similar to the Wailers in that sense. They're kind of like one of those.
Exactly. The Wailers with Bob Marley. That's an actual band,
right?
Bass, drum, guitars, keys, everything that is cohesive. Another example is Soul Syndicate, right? With Fully Fullwood and Santa Davis and Tony Chin and everybody. So Roots Radics is one of those bands, like a team that sticks together, right? So you got Style Scott on drums, Flabba Holt playing bass, and Flabba Holt is kind of like the band leader and kind of like the principal like arranger in the group.
Bingy Bunny, who is such a dope reggae guitar player. I will say
guitar player.
I will say possibly the biggest guitar influence on like how I like aspire to play on our records is like that.
Bingy Bunny.
His tone is like, I've never gotten it and I want it so bad.
Yeah.
It's like the thing I always have in my mind but can never actually like get out on paper or on a track. It's like how he gets that guitar sound.
And then you got the dude who's playing the majority. I could be wrong about this, but I don't think I am. The guy who's playing the majority of like the lead parts is Dwight Pinkney.
Yep.
So Roots Radics had two guitar players.
Yeah. And same. I could say the same about it because their guitars are so like they just flow so well. Like you never really know when one stops and one begins, other than that you just know what their roles are, right? You know that one is playing stick and one's playing skank, but their tones mesh so well that like it really does just sound like one like hyper fluid guy, but it is two guys.
Yeah, I know. I think that in my early times of listening to Night Nurse, I did think that there was just one guitar.
One guy, yeah.
Yeah, but
like it sounds like a guy playing rhythm guitar who stops occasionally to do a fill and then comes back. That's what it sounds like, but it's not what it is. It's just like that's how like in the pocket like this lead guitar player is. Yeah, Pinkney is just I mean
delicious guitar lines,
beautiful guitar tones, like really really subtle but like beautiful, really tasty, like it's kind of chorusy and flangey almost. It's very unique. It kind of almost sounds like envelope filters on it sometimes. It's cool as fucking shit, dude. These are my favorite reggae guitar players, hands down. Like I want to steal their powers.
Yes. So do I, man.
Yeah.
And the guitar playing on this record really exemplifies something that I really like a lot about reggae, which is that it's such a showcase for like the greatest examples of clean guitar playing, clean guitar tones, which in the world of kind of like, you know, nerding out on guitar playing, there's a lot of distortion involved and a lot of overdrive involved. And, you know, it's sort of hard to find outside of jazz. It's sort of hard to find examples of like guitar gods where everything centers around like what, in exploring what kind of a great clean tone can you get.
It's true.
And there's no distortion in sight.
It's
nowhere around, right? All these things that we're accomplishing and all these, So this album is a really good example of that.
And then rounding out the band, there is Steely Johnson on keyboards, who I didn't actually realize was like a member of Roots Radics, but I know him because I see him. He's like a really prolific keyboard player that you'll see on the back of, I mean, really all these guys, like as Roots Radics or just as individuals, they were just like a super, super prolific like group of session guys. And I imagine touring guys too. Like, did they tour with Gregory as well or no?
That I don't know. Like for example, it's like Sly and Robbie in that Brixton Academy show. You know, I don't think that Gregory was that loyal to Roots Radics.
No,
they may have done it from time to time.
Yeah,
but yeah, Gregory wasn't. You know, it's not the same situation as like how Bob was like, all right, I'm gonna take my one band and we're a band now. Like Gregory wasn't like that.
Roots Radics were probably just a little too in demand for something like that. They were just like, they were playing with everybody all the time. And they were like, yeah, we did a Gregory record. It was dope. So
in the case of Steely Johnson, who's playing keys and piano and organ in the band, I think that position was one that would like rotate around a few different people.
I think you're right.
I think, and the rest of the band was pretty.
I kind of think that's solid. Why I didn't really realize he was like one of the guys, even though I've heard of Steely in other cases. But
and he was younger than them as well. Like he was kind of like a kid that that Flabba kind of. Convinced the other guys to let play with them in the beginning, and he ended up earning his own place in the band and stuff.
But the other component of like this record that is so important is all the synth stuff, all the like Prophet synthesizer shit, all the, like Prophet 5 stuff, is a guy named who I'm not familiar with, but his name is Wally Badarou, and I'm probably not saying his name right, but that is like another like really key component to the sound of this record.
So this will lead us into the story of the making of this record, because they almost turned it down because it would take them away from their regular session playing circuit, and they were worried that they may lose their spot in the rotation.
So so the story of how this was created is a little it's a little contradictory, a little contentious maybe between some people.
Yes. There's conflicting information. So, like, for example, when you look on Wikipedia, you look on, like, Discogs.com, it says that Night Nurse was recorded in Tuff Gong Studios.
Mm-hmm. Which is like Bob Marley's studio, correct? Right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, the studio that him and Rita bought and started recording in shortly before he passed away. And then continued, and even still is to this day, like an operating.
Yeah, it's a beautiful studio, actually.
An operating,
Yeah.
And makes really high fidelity recordings.
Super expensive, hi-fi kind of studio, like comparable to like a really nice studio you would find like in the United States.
Yeah.
Or England or something.
Right. So now there's a conflicting account of events as told by Flabba Holt. Okay. The bass player on this record, the producer, one of the producers of this record, he's the band leader of the Roots Radics, had a huge hand in the making of this record. And the way that he tells it, I believe his account, which is that this what we're listening to was not recorded at Tuff Gong.
Having someone say, we recorded it at this studio, and then someone else say, no, we didn't. That's a crazy, like,
So,
how do you not get that straight? Like, that's wild.
It's kind of like, welcome to this record industry,
Yeah.
the facts, getting a really straight, conclusive answer about the way that a lot of things went down during this glorious, magical period in musical history, it can be really challenging. Because a lot of it, this isn't something where there was always journalists and photographers hanging out at every session, and there weren't biographers following these guys around, taking painstaking notes on every last little thing that happened.
It's essentially like an oral history. It's like a folk history.
Yeah.
But it's from the fucking 80s.
Yeah. It's not that long ago.
Yeah, like it's weird.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So Flabba's still alive, and he tells the tale. So according to him, and again, I believe this story.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why as we go. So Gregory Isaacs hits up Flabba, says, I've got a bunch of new songs that I wrote, ready to make a new album. I want to call it Night Nurse. It's awesome. Okay. So they go into Tuff Gong Studios, and they work out all the songs. They work out all the arrangements, come up with, bass lines, and decide on what the chords are going to be based from what Gregory's chords were and shit. And then I don't know if they make some recordings there. They may or may not. And then they leave. And then later on, Gregory hits him up again and says, like, okay, we're going to go to Compass Point Studios in Nassau in the Bahamas. And we're going to record, do you remember that album Night Nurse? You remember that? We're going to go record that there. You want to come? And so this is where what I was talking to you about before, where Flabba and them were kind of hesitating to say yes, because this means leaving Jamaica for a period of time to go on a travel gig and go just dedicate a period of time to this one record.
Yeah, they got to give up all the other gigs they have in the pipeline to go do this one.
Right, which is every day.
Yeah.
Literally every day.
Yes.
These guys they have gained some seniority, and they've worked themselves up to be the number one choice and the number one call for certain producers in certain recording studios, to call them to come in and record records every day. Talking like in the order of like 20 songs a day. Okay. This was a booming record industry at this time. They were just pumping out music. And they were sort of worried about doing that, because if I step outside of the rotation, who knows what young up-and-comer is going to take my spot, and I come back and I don't have my spot anymore. This is my job.
Yeah.
So, but they ended up saying yes. So they go out to the Bahamas. Okay, this is Compass Point Studios. Have you ever heard of Compass Point Studios?
I think I have, but
Okay.
I'm not positive.
This is a really interesting little corner of music history. So what Compass Point Studios is it's owned by Chris Blackwell.
Yes. This is probably why I'm familiar with it.
Yeah. So
they did Back in Black there. That's how I knew it.
AC/DC's album Back in Black was recorded there. In addition to many, many, many other American, British, Western artists. Okay, so Chris Blackwell, the Island Records guy, the dude who, brought Bob Marley to the world and everything. Again, this is right in that Jamaican music power vacuum of right in the aftermath of Bob Marley passing away. Okay. So at Compass Point, this was like a hangout and a community of musicians and artists that like blended. It was a blending of American and British and Jamaican music industry figures that would just hang out and just kind of live for times at this studio in the Bahamas. And Chris Blackwell had put together in the early 80s a resident backing band that consisted of Sly and Robbie and the great Jamaican guitarist Mikey Chung, great Jamaican percussionist Sticky Thompson. He had Tyrone Downey, who was Bob Marley's keyboard player from the Wailers. He now doesn't have a job because the Wailers aren't the Wailers anymore because Bob Marley just passed away. So Tyrone Downey is there. And this synthesizer player from France, Wally Badarou.
Ah.
So those guys are like the resident, they called them like the Compass Point All-Stars.
Mm.
And they just made a shitload of records. They just brought in American singers, Jamaican singers, British singers. So this period of time, they made Grace Jones albums.
Ooh.
Night Clubbing, Warm Leatherette.
Those records are fucking so sick.
Are you familiar with those records?
Yes. I really like Grace Jones.
Are you familiar with the Joe Cocker record, Sheffield Steel?
No.
Okay. They made that there. And so when you listen to these records, they are essentially like, this was the beginning of Sly and Robbie and all these other Jamaican musicians really branching out. They're Jamaican reggae musicians that are playing not reggae music
on American records, and
they're playing on American records now.
British pop records, and it's not reggae either. They're not playing reggae.
Not reggae. Yeah. That's right. And by the way, you can hear all the gear that they have in this studio is super high end, super cutting edge for the early 80s. And it's so 80s.
Yes.
Okay. Now, this is my opinion talking now. In my opinion, this is like that part of the 80s records sound that like did not age well. Like you listen to like Tears for Fears, Peter Gabriel stuff from the 80s, and it's like that shit has aged so well. Oh my God,
like,
it's beautiful.
It's nice and soft and like pillowy and airy, and there's so much like depth to it, and it's like really, there are all these like good synth sounds, and then there's stuff that is like,
and it's so quintessentially 80s still.
Yeah, still very 80s.
It's not good because it doesn't sound 80s. No, it does sound very 80s. Yes.
But then there's stuff, it sounds like a rejected preset that Eddie Van Halen like threw out like when they were trying to come up with the sound for Jump. Like it's like really angular, like like it's like really angular, like sharp and like harsh and like, and there's no depth to it. It's like all kind of mid-rangey and just it's real bad.
It lacks a bit of finesse. It lacks kind of like a tastefulness that a lot of this other music had. You know,
it makes it actually hard to listen to. Like actually, like it's grating. It's really grating, and it's really pervasive. And it just sounds very fake. It doesn't. It sounds unnatural many times.
Yep. That's right. So they were making a lot of these records there.
Yeah. Okay. You're getting into the point. You're pinpointing what it is I don't really like about Sly and Robbie, which is so much of their shit is this kind of shit.
They lived in that zone.
Yeah.
They absolutely trafficked in those waters, and they dove right into that, man.
Yeah.
That whole era of 80s and early 90s production that really hasn't held up.
No.
They were right in there with that kind of stuff.
It's hard to listen to. Some of it's really bad. It's really annoying.
What is that thing? It's like I'm just saying what you all know.
Yeah.
And no one wants to say it, kind of thing.
Not to mention all the fake drum sounds. They didn't even have acoustic drums at this point anymore. They would use like electronic drum sets with like really shitty sample triggers that sound fucking terrible.
And by the way, the 80s and all these time periods are full of amazing sounding fake drums.
Yeah.
That sound so fucking good. And these are not them.
They're bad. They're really bad.
They're bad fake drums. Yes.
Yeah. Where it's like one sample that has like it has no velocity to it. You know? It's just
like in our episode in this show about Graceland by Paul Simon, we talked about this, where that awful snare drum sample, unfortunately, plagues two or three of those songs. And thankfully it's not over everything, because so many of those great songs escaped the poison of that, but not all of them did. Like some of those songs got fucking taken down.
Because if you want to harken back to a true old school episode of Playback, you're getting into fucking Lars St. Anger snare territory with some of this shit. Like and that's different because that's not a sample, but like it's verging on like the worst snare sounds I've ever heard in my whole life. Like it's getting up there.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sly and Robbie.
So the thing about Compass Point Studios is that type of music is being made here, right?
Yeah.
And which is that is the music of money.
Yeah.
There's just Chris Blackwell is a goddamn millionaire.
Yeah.
Okay? All these people who are there coming in, making their records there. These are the types of records that don't need to sell.
They're looking for that shitty sound.
Yeah. I think it comes from the circumstances of the making of these records. They don't have they're not beholden to, they need to sell.
Right. Right.
Like if these don't sell, we're fucked. It's not like that. It's just Grace Jones. I'm a fucking millionaire. I'm just going to make like my fucking vanity project, Here's my money. Let's make my record. What's your target? How many copies do you need to sell for you to be financially sound, Grace? Like none. It doesn't matter how many I sell. I'm going to be fine. I'm just making a record because I want to make a record. You know what I mean?
It gets back to one of those things where it's like, this is true for movies. This is definitely true for music. But it's something that's often ignored, which is that giving yourself a budget and like creative constraints, maybe like rules or something, like creative rules is one way to do this. Like the White Stripes are really famous for doing this, which is like they very famously like always record everything live. They only use like two instruments, guitar and drums, right? Like they have all these like rules that they had to like keep for it to be a White Stripes song, right? And the reason for that was that when you put yourself in a box like that, it forces you to make creative decisions, right? And another way to achieve being forced to make creative decisions is not having a lot of money, right? So it's just like, you just got to use what you use, man. We're going to use what we're going to use. And you know what? He's here, so we're going to use him. And you can't afford to fucking fly in the guy anyway that you want because you don't have the fucking money in any way. So we're just going to have to make do. That kind of stuff
makes the product better.
Magic.
It makes magic.
That's where magic is. It's so much better than just being like, I'm going to buy every toy there is.
Resources.
Every toy there is and I'm just gonna sit there and endlessly like tinker and fucking like toy around and dick around. Like,
Yeah. By the way, another notable album that I think you will love that was recorded at Compass Point. So some members of the Talking Heads also hung out there.
Tom Tom Club did a record there.
Tom Tom Club
Yes.
recorded their first song there, "Genius of Love."
Which is like one of the greatest songs ever recorded.
And guess who was there at the studio who played the bet it is fucking it's Tyrone Downey.
Shut
It's fucking
the fuck up.
Bob
That's
Marley's
him?
keyboard player played that shit, man.
Wow. Okay.
Because this is what that community was like that was hanging out at this studio. It's like that, okay? It's like American musicians, Jamaican musicians.
And here comes Gregory Isaacs and Roots Radics deciding to go to the Bahamas together.
Chris Blackwell. I believe that Night Nurse is the first record that Chris Blackwell has asked Gregory Isaacs to record for him on his label now. Okay? And this, again, makes a lot of sense. Bob Marley is no longer available. Who else we got? Let me bring Gregory into the fold. Let's give him a shot.
Who's arguably the next biggest guy?
Yeah, exactly.
It's Gregory Isaacs.
So Chris Blackwell is like, oh, you're working on a new record, huh? Okay, well, come out to the Bahamas. It's recorded at Compass Point. Gregory asks Flabba and Roots Radics to come and play there. And so they do. They say yes. Flabba's telling this story. He says that he arrives first before Gregory's there. And he arrives and he says there's Studio A up on the hill and there's Studio B down below. And he's like, I arrived and I instantly, at first went up to Studio A and just like looking around like, oh my God, look at it. It's so fucking nice. Like studios with this amount of money, okay, this pristine of equipment and like acoustic design and just space. And these don't exist in Jamaica. These hardly exist in America either.
Yeah,
just,
it's true.
I mean, imagine you're just in the Bahamas.
Yep.
What could you build in the Bahamas? Whatever you
Anything.
fucking want.
There's probably no regulations whatsoever.
Exactly. How big do you want your live room to be? However big you want it to be.
Yeah.
You know? So it's this beautiful studio. He's looking around, and then when Gregory arrives, and they're like, okay, you guys got to record in Studio B. He's like, oh, shit. Okay, all right, whatever. Fine, whatever. So within like a day or two, they record all the rhythm tracks,
all the basics,
all the drums, bass, guitars, and keys of Night Nurse. And by the way, you can tell. Look, the clues are everywhere when you listen to Night Nurse. The sonic clues are fucking everywhere. This was recorded not in Tuff Gong. This was recorded in Compass Point.
Okay.
For example, listen to the piano. How many acoustic pianos are in Night Nurse? None. All the piano sounds are a digital keyboard. How many examples of that are happening in 1981 in Jamaican records?
No, they all had shitty upright pianos that probably were like passed down from like the fucking 30s, right? Like,
yeah, they're the same upright pianos that were being played on the ska records. Exactly. Yeah. How much real spring reverb is on Night Nurse? None. No, it's like all really crazy digital spacey reverb. Yeah, it's digital reverb.
I had to think for a second.
There's no spring.
I'm like, there's not spring on this.
There's no right. It's like a trick question.
Which again, if you're listening, you're not familiar with what that is or why that's important. A spring reverb is just like, imagine taking the reverb tank out of a Fender amplifier, and then you basically run your snare through that, and that's your reverb.
It's this. This is spring reverb.
Yes.
And it's an actual spring that you can touch.
It's a spring like a fucking slinky. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the sound of reggae. And that's the reverb that they have in which studio in Jamaica? Oh, all of them. Okay. How many of the studios in Jamaica in 1981 or 1982 are
have
making
like a plate or like a digital plate?
Are making albums with only digital reverb? None of them. Okay. So those are just two specific examples. And then the rest of my evidence is just the way that the entire fucking thing sounds, okay, is all the other sounds. It's obviously recorded at Compass Point. When you listen to these Grace Jones, these Joe Cocker, all these other albums that are made at Compass Point during this period of time, and then you listen to Night Nurse, and then you listen to anything that's made at Tuff Gong, it's like, okay, this was recorded at Compass Point.
Yeah, like seriously, this record sounds like $1 million. It's the best sounding reggae album that is not associated with Bob Marley that I think there is, other than maybe like Steel Pulse, like True Democracy, very, very sonically high quality, but like
it's not recorded in Jamaica.
No. Yes, exactly. That was recorded in Denmark. Denmark. That's right.
Yeah.
So, like, as far as like reggae albums go that you are led to believe were recorded in Jamaica, this is like the very best sounding one. Like if this was recorded in Jamaica, it is like, it's like how? It really is like how?
Right. Explain how. Explain why this one sounds this way and there's no other examples. So like where was this console? Where was this tape machine? Where were these effects? Like, where was all this gear that was used to make this record? Where are the other records that were made with it?
This record is like super like compressed too. Like, and I'm not talking like on the master or something or the mix or whatever. I'm talking like the fucking kick is fat as shit. The snare is like fat as shit. It's consistent. Like the bass is super present and super loud. Like I was listening to the earlier Gregory albums before this, right? And like, man, say what you will, that murky vibe is really cool, but it sounds cheap. It sounds like poor, and that's a cool sound.
You can hear
the poverty,
the amount of dollars. Yeah, you can hear. Yes,
and like the those records, as cool as they are, they're the most inconsistent records there are. Like it's like you can tell it's like, well, this is like a different drummer on a different day with a different drum set, and like this is a different mix entirely, and like a lot of times the drums on those records, it's like it's all like hi hat and cross stick.
Yeah,
and maybe there's like a mic that catches like all three toms on one mic, but there's like no kick, right? Like it's the bass is really fat, but there's no articulation in like kick drum. And everything is just really murky and kind of buried. And I would almost compare it favorably, because like all this stuff is just it's why we love reggae. It's not, and it's why we love those records. It's not to disparage those records.
Interesting.
It's why it's interesting. Yeah.
So Night Nurse has this incredible fidelity, and like to me, I feel like part of it, or not part of it, but a lot of it has to do with how. Well, okay, this is a technical term, but how low the noise floor is.
Sure, yeah. Yes.
So,
which again is another thing on the other records. Right. Is really noisy. They're often very noisy. The noise floor
is very high. And so what that means is how quiet is the quietest sound on the record, right? So on the more murky Jamaican recordings that we're used to, that noise floor is very high.
The quietest sound you should hear on a record is probably like the tape hiss if it was recorded onto tape. It should be like barely audible, and if you turn it up all the way, you can hear it, right? But on a lot of Jamaican records, it's super loud, you know? It's
the volume difference between the loudest thing and the quietest thing is very close.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So Night Nurse, so you listen to a bunch of those and then you put on a song from Night Nurse and it just, whoa.
Yeah.
It strikes you, the difference. And that difference is how far of a distance there is between the volume of the loudest sound and the quietest. Like a good analogy for it is like how they talk about in like a really, really nice projection of a movie. You know, on like a 4K DVD or you know about this more than me, but you know, like a Blu-ray or a what are the nicest like DVD things that you can watch a movie on?
A 4K, yeah.
A 4K.
If you're talking about at home, yeah.
Yeah, and in movie theaters, they talk about like that when it's higher quality, the blacks are blacker.
You're basically talking about like bit depth is kind of in movies is kind of what that's referred to. Yeah.
So like the range of colors. So like when a spot on the screen is supposed to be dark, like how dark is it?
Yeah.
And a low quality version of the movie, it'll basically be like a dark gray.
Yeah, yeah.
But on a really nice one, that black spot will be truly black. This is like the audio quality of that, or the audio version of that, where when the spaces in between Style Scott playing the drums and the spaces in between those little guitar notes and guitar licks, like all the playing comes across sounding so delicate on this album. It feels like they're playing so quietly and like they're barely touching their instruments.
But you can also hear all the detail.
Detail.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can hear the detail in all the instrumentation, which yes, in like a less hi-fi situation, you would not.
So they flew in Errol Brown, who was the main engineer for Treasure Isle Studios in Jamaica. So like most prominently known for the whole Rocksteady boom, all those records. He engineered the actual sessions, you know, doing the recordings here. So anyway, so this is where Night Nurse is recorded in this kind of a studio that is capable of that. And it's what makes it unique.
Yeah. It is super, super unique. Like, I think to like layman's ears, they'll hear this and just be like, yeah, this sounds like a really good record. But it's like,
in context.
In context, though, like this was like a rare thing that like this is like a rare treat where you got a group of Jamaicans that were this great and you put them in this environment. I think the other thing we should like probably point out is like that like I get the sense that this was Flabba Holt's like baby.
Yes.
Like this is first and foremost like the reason this album is as genius as it is because of Flabba Holt. And I think we should take a minute to talk about him specifically because like Style Scott, dope drummer, really dope drummer.
Unbelievable.
But like also like really simple. Like his rhythms were really simple and really effective. Like that's kind of almost what I like about him the most.
That's why I like him.
That's my favorite thing about him is like he's really simple. It's like to the point. It's not like super flashy. Not to say that he doesn't like do like drum fills and shit because he does and they're fucking dope. But like
tasteful.
It's really
Style
tasteful. Like
was fucking tasteful.
Emphasis style.
Yes.
Like really
Style,
tasteful.
Scott, yes.
But what that allows for is for also very simple bass rhythms. They're the most intricate bass lines you can play while using as few as notes as possible.
Yeah.
But they are like every single note, every single articulation is propulsive and like informs the chords or responds to the chords or is like responding to the drums in a way that's really satisfying or leaves like a pocket open for a guitar to do something.
He's doing all the things that you're listing. He does all of them at the same time.
Yes.
He's accomplishing all of those things with as few notes as possible.
Yeah, as few notes as possible. He's like, his economy of notes is like, I don't know another bass player that's better at this than him.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, his feel, his articulation is unbelievable. Like I think in one of those videos you sent me, he pointed out how there were producers who asked him like, okay, so you play the same rhythm. It's like what, 16 bars long. Let's just loop it. And he's like, no, dude, no, you don't fucking get it at all. You don't get it at all. And it's like the way he sits, he's able to sit behind the beat is you can't do it with a machine. Only a human being could do this. Only a person could do this.
That's right. And this is so good, man. So I'm a bass player. I'm a reggae bass player, and it's one of my most favorite things that I've discovered in my life. Because the thing about playing bass in reggae, okay, if you play it like how Flabba does, because not all reggae bass players play like how Flabba does. Okay, now, like for example, we've talked about 2 albums so far, Exodus and this one. So the other one is like the other most famous bass player other than Robbie, Sly and Robbie, but is fucking Family Man. Okay, listen to
different.
The bass playing on Exodus, and then listen to the bass playing on Night Nurse. And bass players, you will be able to hear the difference. They're like fundamentally, they're coming from a different approach. Okay, Family Man is very intricate, and like each section of the song has a different concept and a different rhythmic identity, and like the second half of the verse is different than the first half of the verse, but there's like a plan to it. There's like a grand, he's making this like big sandcastle, you know? And Flabba,
and he's being asked, Family Man's being asked to play under more chords, right?
yes,
Like the way more chords. Flabba, he specifically is like, I'm a 2-chord bass player. Like,
right.
That's it. And listen to this record. Listen to this record.
That's a quote by Flabba. I'm a 2-chord musician. He says that like about himself often.
Yeah.
The same. Yeah. So every single song on this album.
Is it every single one is 2 chords?
There's only one exception.
Okay.
So the song Not the Way has 4 chords.
Okay.
But even that, it's 1, 6, 4, 5. It's like
right.
the doo-wop thing. It's like the most common chord shape that there is.
Yeah.
And other than the song Not the Way, all of the songs have 2 chords.
Yes. And that could be so boring. Like, I know there's probably a lot of musicians hearing that and thinking like, ugh, that's it? Like, how could it be?
See, this breaks a lot of American music rules.
Yeah.
Okay. Their approach, it doesn't follow the same rules.
No.
But the reason why this is important is this also is like, this stands out even amongst Jamaican music too.
Sure.
Because none of the songs have more than one section.
Right. Yeah.
Meaning not more than one section. None of them have more than one chord shape. All of the songs are the same chord shape, just played over and over throughout the entire song, and it never changes. There's no change for the intro. There's no change for the verse, no change for the chorus.
Right. But there is still like a verse and like a hook.
Exactly.
Right?
But there still is an intro and a verse and a chorus, but the chords never change for them on any of the songs on the entire album. That's fucking crazy.
It's sick is what it is.
Look, and a lot, by the way, a lot of the credit for this, probably most of the credit for this goes to Gregory Isaacs himself, because he wrote these songs.
He wrote it, yeah.
Yeah, right. He's the one who got a guitar and started strumming some chords and came up with all these tunes. And he accomplished something. Okay, all of you songwriters out there who can hear my voice, here's a challenge to you. Come up with a song using only 2 chords, and you can't change the chords. They have to stay the same the entire time. And with your vocal part, accomplish a very clear delineation between verse and chorus and refrain and pre-chorus and bridge, like that totally satisfies the ear like any other pop song would, but you're not allowed to change between playing those two chords back and forth. Try to accomplish that. It's very fucking hard. And Gregory does it over and over and over again.
Like to the point where the first way I would think to accomplish that, right, is I wouldn't even do it myself. I would say, I would do it with a partner. I would say, I'm going to write a verse, you write a chorus, we both use the same key chords, but we don't talk about it. Right? That's how I would, but that's the point I'm trying to make, or to illustrate, is how good he is at this. Whereas
it's incredible.
He doesn't.
It's a gift.
It doesn't sound like the chorus doesn't just sound like a reinterpolation of the verse or something like that. It's a whole new part.
Chorus. Yeah. And over for all the songs, for all 8 songs on this record, it happened like when the chorus hits, you feel that drop. You feel the same payoff as you feel in any other pop song. But nothing happened chordally at all. You know?
Also another challenge, do this by yourself and make sure that you can dance to it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, and sing along to it, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah. Dude.
It's sick.
These guys are such fucking geniuses.
They're brilliant, yeah.
But to get back to Flabba, okay, being a reggae bass player, one of the great lessons that it was very hard for me to learn when I was a kid. So I was introduced to playing reggae as a bass player when I was like about 14 years old by Brian Wallace, who was our guest in the last episode. And it was really, really tough for me because I had played rock and roll, I'd played metal, I'd played punk, stuff like that, okay? Playing reggae on the bass took me years to for it to click, for it to understand. And it was sort of like the same phenomenon of like when all of a sudden you can balance on a bike. Like, oh shit, I get it. Right?
Yeah.
And the thing that is hard about it is it's the meditation.
Yeah.
And you listen to Flabba playing bass on this, and like what you were talking about before when he said you can't loop it. You can't loop the bass part.
It would actually make it worse. It would ruin it.
It would. And it does.
Yeah.
And that's why in all of our songs, in every song that I play on,
you play the whole thing.
You play, even when it's the one bass line that is only 2 bars long, it's a 2-bar loop, but you play it throughout the entire song. And when you're performing live, when you're playing a concert, you stay on that bass line and you meditate on that one part. And I'm telling you, for a person who comes from our culture, that takes discipline to be able to do it. It is so hard to not stray.
Like I had a lot of experience growing up playing through Wallace, playing with other people who were kind of learning reggae at the same time. And I was guilty as this of anybody, is your job in a reggae band is like, here's the part, just play that. Just play that. You're more a percussionist than you are like some kind of melodic piece, right? You're making melodies with a percussion instrument basically when you're playing bass, like or guitar or whatever.
That's like, exactly right.
But it's like
you're playing percussion.
So many
you're playing
times
a drum.
You're playing a drum. Yeah, and so many I can think of endless instances where I or someone else in the group would just be like, you could tell their mind would drift and they would just fill or solo or do something stupid.
Dude.
And it would ruin it. And my favorite recollections of shows from that time period was when I had the discipline to just play it straight, just to play it through, just to fulfill my role, right?
And then you can feel the magic when that happens.
Well, because then if everyone's doing that, it's like this, the band is now a unit, right? And it's like you're presenting the song as a unit rather than like kind of just this hodgepodge of everyone just kind of fucking off, you know?
It's the meditation.
Yes, it is.
Right? That's when reggae starts happening, you know? Like in Stranger in Town. Ta, buh. How long can you play that? How long could you stand? You want to play something else? You know you want to. You know you want to change it. You want to show off. The drummer just played a cool fill. You want to join in. The singer made a little fancy run. You want to show what you can do too. No, man. Can you stay in the meditation? Can you continue to be the foundation that this house is built upon? Right? That everyone is just vibing on. It takes it's like a spiritual like discovery that you have to make to like be able to stay there. And it's life-changing, man. Like, you know, I feel like it affected my personality, like learning that. You know what I mean?
It is the single most important component to reggae there is. It is the most important thing is the bass line. Like, and the reason I wanted specifically to call out Flabba on this is because every single bass line on this album, you could sing it in the way you can like sing a George Harrison like guitar solo or a guitar line or something like that. They're that melodically sophisticated that not only are they so simple, but like I honestly remember more of the bass lines than I do the lyrics, than like words and shit.
Yep. That's reggae. That's reggae, man. And the other thing about the reason why you play throughout the entire track and you don't just loop a sample of it is because oh my God, Flabba explained this in this interview. The most fucking brilliant thing I've ever heard anybody say. He's like, it's because you're riding the rhythm, right? And okay, those of you who are watching on YouTube will be able to see me, but he said, he's like, it's like a lizard on a leaf. He's like, have you ever seen a lizard sitting on a leaf, right? And the leaf is blowing in the wind, but when the leaf gets blown and the leaf starts moving around, the lizard doesn't just like jump off and just like freak out and change. It's like, no, the lizard just like fucking rides. He just surfs the leaf. You know what I mean? So the rhythm of the drums, the rhythm of the track is like that. So you're still playing, but each one of those times that you're playing it,
it's slightly different.
It's slightly different. You're surfing that leaf.
Yep.
You know, you're riding it.
Yep. You're finding the pocket.
Exactly. And it takes the human being to find that pocket in every iteration of that melody.
Yes.
Throughout the entire song.
And this is a beautiful metaphor for just like art in general.
Yeah.
Just art in general. Why the human being is central to what makes art interesting.
This is my favorite shit in the world, man.
Yeah.
Flabba is my number one.
Yeah, and like I highly encourage everyone.
Greatest ever.
We're going to include the links to the videos we watched in the description, and I highly encourage people to watch it because he's like so clearly a genius. Like to me, I listen to him speak. He has this unbelievable memory and recall for like events and shit that happened and like how he came up with stuff, and just like really great musical instincts, and just like someone that I think in our world, like, everybody knows who he is and everyone knows why he's the shit. But like, I think in the wider music world, and you could say this about Gregory Isaacs too, man.
Yeah.
These guys are in our little bubble, they're a really, really big deal. But in the wider music world, completely slept on.
They're unknown.
Completely fucking slept on.
Totally unknown to the wider English-speaking musical sphere. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And yeah, all the people who were involved in the making of this album of Night Nurse, they're just like the best of the best, man.
They're the best
like,
in the world, yeah. Whoever did it.
If I have to pick my okay, I do acknowledge Bob was the best. singer.
Sure.
But if I got to pick who's my favorite, I might pick Gregory Isaacs. I might. And the Wailers were the Wailers, but if I got to pick who is, in my opinion, my favorite band, Roots Radics, definitely.
Yeah.
Like, and that's one of the things that I love so much about this album is it's this little corner where like this unique circumstance and this unique opportunity was handed to like the fucking
The best.
crystallized best of the best team in 1982, like the peak of their fucking abilities. All of these individuals in 1982, they were all as good as they would ever be.
Yeah.
You know, they were in their prime, like in a athlete sense. You know, like when athletes are at their peak. It was very much like that, and this was it. This was them. These songs are just us and millions of other people have still not gotten tired of these songs.
No.
Standout Songs. Okay, I'll let you go first because I'm the one who picked the album.
Of course.
I assume
Sure.
I may have heard it more times than you.
Yes.
I'm curious. Standouts.
So, kind of said this earlier. Problematic fave. Not the way.
Yeah. Not the way.
Not the way.
It's a jam.
It's such a jam. Like,
It's such a jam.
fucking sue me. It's a little misogynistic. It's a little problematic. Fucking what's not in this world? Let's be real. Everything sucks.
This song is,
this
for
sucks
sure.
way less than a lot of stuff that really sucks, though.
It's true. It sucks and it's good at the same time. Some stuff only sucks.
Yeah, some stuff only sucks.
This sucks and it's good.
So yeah, what I'm getting at is your mileage may vary as a listener with, the maybe dated attitudes in the tune, but the tune itself is so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's probably my favorite bass line. It's my favorite guitar part. It's my favorite synth thing. Yeah. The synth part that just like kind of repeats over and over and over again. Talk about a meditation on like a part. Yeah.
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 Whoop, boop, boodle-a-doo.
Oh, and by the way, just to make the misogyny even worse, if you're not aware, in patois, when he says daughter, he doesn't mean literally daughter in the sense that you and I may. That just means women.
Yeah, it just means like a lady
in general.
Yeah.
Our daughters. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's we kind of covered this one earlier. It's a little condescending. It's not as he's mostly, I would stand by his songs about women. Mostly. This is not necessarily one lyrically.
Because they're mostly just about how you're great and I want you and I can't have you and I need you or I'm so glad that I have you, and that's as far as he goes normally.
Yeah, but this one
women are very stupid.
This one is
so less intelligent than the men is sort of what he's saying in this song.
This one is just like to me. It's like the most catchy thing on the record. It's like every song in this album is so fucking catchy, but this one's just like particularly catchy to me. My next one is Objection Overruled. Super sick clavinet on it.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing clav. Amazing, like really articulate, tasty guitar part throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, the Dwight Pinkney, what he's playing, this little lead guitar part on there is so nasty.
And it almost sounds doubled, but it's not. I can't tell. Like it sounds, or there's some kind of effect on it that makes it sound kind of, I don't know what that effect is.
It could be double tracked.
That's what I'm thinking.
That he took two passes on it.
That's what I'm thinking. It kind of it sounds like a really like right on top of each other, but also kind of not. It's weird. There's some kind of effect on the guitar though that's really, really tasty, very satisfying. Really, just everybody. It's just really fucking good. I don't know. Like you're gonna find yourself kind of describing the good things about one song, and it will apply to every other song. Like it's got a great
It's a very
bass line.
consistent record.
It's insanely consistent.
You know, we've talked about some like for example, like Black Star by David Bowie, where like each song is instrumentally and musically its own fucking situation. This is a very consistent. Every instrument is sitting in the same place in every song.
It sounds like it was all recorded in like one day, like one afternoon. Like
it might have been all of the recordings of the band, and also Gregory.
Yeah.
From Flabba's story, it's at most 2 days. I think possibly 1 day.
Yeah. God, that's fucking crazy. And then the other one I had was Hot Stepper, which I really like as well. That like really fun like piano part in the intro, and then it has this yeah. Honestly, dude, like yes. My favorite like individual component of every single song is inevitably the bass part, right? It's the best part of every single song, and I'm including Gregory. I could listen to this shit with no vocals.
Dude, and we haven't even talked about his vocal style.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Well, we could, because
that's a whole But sorry, go ahead, keep going.
Yeah, I mean, it's just. Again, I'm going to sound like I'm repeating myself because, again, this has just a fucking unbelievable bass line with this beautiful synth thing that repeats and really tasty guitars. It's the same fucking thing on every song. It's just they change, it's just a different rhythm and a different whatever.
Yeah, but each one is a different flavor. In your like when you open a box of chocolates and like each one is like a little variation of the same thing of the same situation. Yeah,
those are the three.
I like the pineapple one.
Those are the three that I picked. But honestly, dude, there's no bad song on this. Like the other like outside. I don't want to say too many because you're about to pick yours, and if I pick a fourth, that's 4 out of 8 fucking songs. So like, I'm sorry, okay. I'm going to be leaving you with not a lot of unique picks. But like the other one, I would like a really big standout. I mean, fuck, what am I talking about? Night Nurse, Stranger in Town.
Night Nurse, hello.
Sad to Know You're Leaving. Material Man's great too. Cool Down the Pace is like a huge song. That's like a fucking huge Gregory Isaacs song. Like, if I had to pick another one, it would be Sad to Know You're Leaving. But like fucking Night Nurse is right there too. So there's no bad song. Like it's mind blowing.
It's like that. It is like that.
It does be like that. It does.
Unlike Exodus, which as you know my feelings,
one bad song on it
has. See, you've come around to my line of thinking. I see.
I just we don't have to relitigate it, but yeah, I kind of have. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Well, I already said it on the internet, so I have to live with it. There's a song on Exodus that I just straight up don't like.
Yeah.
This album is not like that.
No.
As you say, they're all. Oh my God!
They're all
every single. They're
song. All, in my opinion, essentially perfect. But like, what are your highlights? Okay. I feel guilty. I took too many, but
just a quick notes on a couple songs that you mentioned. These are not ones that I put in my. I picked 3 standouts. My standouts.
Yeah.
My first one, number 1, is Sad to Know You're Leaving.
That was like right on the periphery of one I wanted to mention, but only didn't because I almost resent it for ending the album because that means the album's over.
Yeah, it's very bittersweet and it really like Gregory, the amount of emotion that he's capable of putting in such a simple song. Like you look at the songs on Exodus. They're fucking deep, multi-layered. There's the self-referential. They're like you could study those for a long time.
And we might have unlocked that he was doing a literal yin and yang composition style.
Gregory's songs are what you see is what you get. Like there's like one layer to Gregory's songs.
But you know what I would compare that to is like on one hand you've got like an amazing like stew that has like 1,000 ingredients in it and like all this shit, and maybe it's like 1,000-year stew. It's like one of those like 50-year stews. It's just like you don't know what's in it, but you know it's amazing, and it's like so much depth to it, and like you could just eat it. It's like the most delicious thing you've ever had. And then there's like Gregory Isaacs, which is like a Michelin-starred like tapas. It's just one bite.
Bam.
One bite. There's 3 things on a cracker. And your brain will explode when it goes in your mouth. Like, will fucking explode.
And now I'm wanted.
Yes, exactly.
Like, dude. Yeah. Yes. So, yeah, sad to know, just like when the vocal harmony hits. So, Gregory is so, he uses vocal harmony so rarely in his... And every once, like in the song Front Door, the I don't wanna be lonely tonight, right? On More Gregory. And then it's the same thing in Sad to Know That You're Leaving.
Yeah, it's like one passage. That's it.
One little harmony voice. And he always does his own harmony. He always he puts on his own harmony. I like that's so unique in, because especially during this time in Jamaica, this is the time of the vocal trios, it's like either you're like the Mighty Diamonds or the Wailing Souls or the Heptones, and you're a vocal harmony is what you do, or you're one voice and you're a crooner and you're one voice on your own. And that's him 90% of the time. But every once in a while, he just comes in and overdubs a little harmony just in that chorus.
It's so tasty, too.
It's so tasty. And yeah, that's like a big part of it in that song to me. Yeah. But again, like, for this song, like what you say, the bass line, ridiculous. The synth, ridiculous. The lead guitar, ridiculous.
We're just going to sound like broken records, man. Like, it's...
Yeah. And then my other, so I have Sad to Know That You're Leaving, Hot Stepper, and then my other one is Stranger in Town.
Love Stranger in Town. And neither one of us are saying Night Nurse. Neither one of us are saying Night Nurse. I know, isn't that crazy? Which is crazy.
I feel that it's
like a given.
I think it's a given.
It's like a given.
It's just because I've heard it so many times. I think that's the only thing. And it's in my live repertoire. I perform that song all the time. But it's just part of the wallpaper to me now.
It's the free bingo square of the album. It's like everybody knows. Like if you don't know, the album's called fucking Night Nurse. Like is it the best song on the record though?
It's good. It's a good question. Okay, here we go. If you have to answer that question, I would say Sad to Know That You're Leaving is the best song on the record. If I had to pick one.
Wow. It's real close for me between, I could say Night Nurse. Sad to Know, I agree with you, could easily be considered the best song on the record though. And Problematic Fave, Not the Way. I love that song.
Good song.
I think that song's unbelievable.
By the way, little tidbit, according to Flabba, Chris Blackwell wanted to call this record Cool Down the Pace.
I saw that. I heard that. And Flabba said, that's a fucking horrible name. It's gonna flop. And Night Nurse is a hit.
And he knew that Night Nurse was the hit, exactly.
Yeah, Night Nurse is the hit.
Fuck that.
Night Nurse is the title. Yeah. Not to mention, can we mention just for a second how, just briefly, like, what a dope album cover this is. It's so unique. It's so like unique in reggae as well. Like it's a lot of reggae album covers, like understandably so, they feature a lot of like kind of earth tones. They're very like muted. like very soft, like almost like paper and like papyrus feeling. You almost get like kind of like a really soft like paper feel from them.
like an intentionally rootsy and earthy vibe intentionally.
Yeah, evocative of like earth and nature and like
Africa,
and elemental.
Mm-hmm.
This shit is so 80s. It's so 80s in like the coolest way. Like it's like it's so stylish, and it's just like. And it's a perfect window into like the sound of the album. Like it
looks like how it sounds. Yeah.
And you never see this either. Like this is so clever to me. So if you haven't seen the copy or the album cover, like definitely go look it up. But basically what it is it's basically a big photo of him. So this amazing like portrait photo of his face, very close up,
like a bust.
A bust, yeah, and he's wearing this beautiful white Panama hat, and he's got these rings, and you can see his dreads, and then like in this beautiful, very 80s stylish like cursive in red over the album cover, it says Gregory Isaacs. But then my favorite thing about this album cover, my very favorite thing, is in the shape of a clock. It says night nurse in the shape of a clock, right? In like a big circle. And then they also include the hour and minute hand right past midnight.
Oh, I never noticed. It's just past midnight.
It's about 12:05. It's just past midnight. And it's just talk about like the brilliance in like the economy of very few ingredients that all together are just absolutely delicious. Like it's just so perfect. Like, and it's, I don't know, man, like we've done a lot of records on this show. Dude, this is fucking as close to perfect as it gets. Like the whole top to bottom, like like
this
experience.
Album. Fucking night nurse, man.
Almost frustratingly so. Like sitting here trying to talk about the standout songs on this, it's basically impossible. Yeah, the things I love the one element I love about this one actually applies to all 8. And you could say that about all 8 and every element in every song.
It's a good point. It's rare. So normally that is a quality of an album that is bad.
Sure.
Where it's like
flat.
I point out this feature of this one song, and then that exact thing that I just pointed out is true of every song on the album.
Yeah.
Right. That's normally a quality of an album that was made in haste or
like it's uninspired.
It's
or like
uninspired.
They're bored or something.
Yeah. It's very workmanlike, and it's normally something that is like something that is made by a great artist who used to make. Who in the past has made a bunch of good stuff, but now they're in their shitty mid-90s period, and
they're falling back on the one trick they barely know how to do still.
Yeah, this is a very forgettable album. That's normally a quality that you associate with that.
Yeah,
and it's really fascinating. We're like, all those same descriptors are true of this, but it's fucking sublime. It's like,
dude, think about it. The album never like slows down. Like they're all kind of the same vibe, same intensity, very similar tempos.
Yep.
Similar keys even. Like they like.
Okay, like I said before, there's 2 chords across. All the songs except for one have 2 chords. If you take in every chord that is played within those, like I'm pretty sure there's a total of like about 6 chords on this entire record.
Even like, let's even go
maybe 7.
Let's even get deeper with the drums. Almost every drum beat is like a rockers beat, which like a rockers is like a kick on 1 and 3 or it's a snare on 2 and 4. It's like a rock and roll type drum thing,
kick,
right?
Snare,
kick, snare, exactly.
As opposed to the one drop beat, which is present on only one song.
It's Material Man, right?
Material Man is the only song that has a one drop beat.
Yeah.
All the 9 other songs are the rockers beat.
It's wild, dude. Like it's
and
wild.
A similar tempo.
I guess Material Man's the only spot where it slows down a little bit. And you know what? I guess if we're talking about it, maybe Material Man might be my least favorite song. Might be. Still great.
I think I agree with you.
Still great.
And I think but man, like
I know.
it's
still
so
really
fucking
good.
Check out the hi-hat rhythm in Material Man.
It's really intricate. Super intricate, yeah.
All you drummers, all you drum students out there, check out the pattern that Style Scott is playing on the hi-hat in Material Man. It's one thing to listen to it, then try to play it. And don't approximate it. Try to play it the way that he does. Like, don't put in more ghost notes in between. Like, because at the end of the patterns, there are no ghost notes in between there. That shit is so fucking hard to play.
Remember, it's easier to play more. It's actually easier to overplay.
Yes.
Playing
exactly. The challenge is to play what he's playing and no more.
Yes.
That's what is hard.
And no less. And no less.
And no less. Yeah.
It's still
right.
He's not overplaying, but it's still a very intricate technical part, right?
It is.
I could just hit fucking quarter notes, right? And that would be playing less, right? But it wouldn't be better. Ugh, it's just nasty. All this is so fucking nasty. It's making me want to throw up.
Material Man, no, dude. Material Man is amazing. It has that guitar part that
it is. Which is like a guitar part that I have ripped off 1,000 times in my own guitar playing.
Come on, man.
Yep, it's.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
it's so dope.
It's so tight. All right. Wow. I feel like we could talk about this forever, but all we're going to say is it's great.
Yeah, it's true. We have gotten to that inevitable point that we always get to where we've devolved into just saying, it's so good.
I know, yeah, which is, I don't know how to avoid that with some of the stuff we pick because it's so good. Gregory Isaacs was such a special man. He died about 15 years ago, and he seemed like such a kind and well-meaning person who unfortunately got really caught up in the wrong scene, man.
Addiction, baby.
Addiction, man.
Claims another.
Yeah. And
unfortunately, yeah.
But he is one of the great reggae singers that we have from this time. Put out just a litany of great songs. I mean, what more is there to say, man? I mean, you got the Roots Radics, they're the best band in the world.
What can I say? Yeah.
At this point, post Bob Marley being dead, is this the greatest assembly of musicians and a singer like there is on earth at this point? Now that Bob's gone,
yeah. Oh, that's a good point. In a world where there is no Bob and no Wailers,
this is as good as it gets.
Is Gregory with the Roots Radics? Is that the peak? Is that as good as it gets?
Fucking listen to this and tell me. I challenge you to listen to this and tell me otherwise, because I haven't heard that. I'd love to hear that record. Show it to me. I promise you, me and Brandon want to listen to it.
Yeah. All right, one that's better than this.
Yeah, and just I'm excited to continue down through the list of albums that we're going to do on this show throughout the course of the summer, because all the rest of the albums that we're going to show, they're all kind of the best at what they were trying to do. Like you could almost say that about all of them, and that's what's I'm really excited about, because
because we've chosen 6 albums, and that's kind of our point, is that there's at least 6 entirely separate targets that you could try to hit within Roots Reggae.
And you could make the art, and that's the thing about all 6 of these records, all 6 of them, I think you could credibly, with a straight face, make the argument, no, this is the best reggae album ever made. Like I would,
and people would go like, yeah,
there's a lot of people that would be like, for sure. Yeah. Like, and man, I was very late to Gregory Isaacs. It was not until the last like 5-6 years, not until you and me really started like hammering out music. And I was just like, and I would pick your brain and be like, what is this sound? I remember asking you, like, what is this sound I'm chasing? And you would be like, listen to Night Nurse. And then
I don't remember that.
I do, because it was like it was around 2020-ish, around that time when we were really just like heavy going at it during COVID. And it was just, I remember just kind of studying Night Nurse from that period, studying the guitar work on this record, and 100% giving up on bass and letting you do it. Which is always the wise move. If you're gonna,
I didn't know that you got it from this record. I just assumed that you always had those tricks and that you always played like that.
Here's the thing.
I didn't realize that.
I've always loved Roots Radics. Has always been my favorite reggae band. Always, like, since I can remember. Because there's a specific King Tubby album called Dangerous Dub, and it's called King Tubby Dangerous Dub, and in smaller print it says featuring Roots Radics. And that, for me, if we were going to do a dub summer, which I think we should challenge ourselves. Not next summer, maybe not even the one after, but like, we should challenge ourselves to actually pick 6 dub records.
One of these annual reggae summers, it'll be just all dub records. Yeah.
But there is a King Tubby record that is like, it is the purest form of the Roots Radics, because it's instrumental and it's very simple dub. But it's like really showcases them, and I just fell in love with them, and then I would seek them out on whatever records. But this one, it's like, this one really showcases their artistry and their brilliance in a way that, like, a lot of dub records that use them, it's like, it's dope, but the point is the dub, right? Like the show is it's the King Tubby show.
Tubby.
Yeah, it's the King Tubby show, and that's fucking, you're never gonna get me to pay attention to much else than that. This really highlights their ability as a band and as musicians to just elevate a simple song into absolute perfection. Like, and it's all in their playing. It's all in the nuance of their playing. Right. Like, it's all in. Right.
Because remember, they took this guy, Gregory Isaacs, who had these songs with a guitar that he could strum just basically on a guitar, and they turned that into this.
Yeah.
What we're hearing. All these other notes and all these other choices and all these other embellishments.
Yeah.
They knew what to do, and they plug it into their system. And look at how fast they can make it.
Yeah, totally.
Like in a day, maybe 2. Bam.
Yeah.
Incredible.
How about you? Any final thoughts or any final words, parting words for us?
I do. One final thought. I want to harken back to and ask you a question.
Okay.
And I harken back to our discussion a few episodes ago talking about Beach House, band Beach House, okay? And we were talking about Victoria Legrand and the way that she sings in her vocal delivery. And you remember my take on there, which is that Victoria Legrand of Beach House has a vocal delivery that is very similar to a lot of reggae artists, and in particular, similar to Gregory Isaacs.
Yeah.
And we didn't talk about in our discussion specifically about Gregory Isaacs' vocal delivery and the way that he sits like a lizard on that leaf and floats like, you know, all you singers and songwriters, like, check out his rhythm, where his syllables are is so idiosyncratic and so not obvious and not what you would expect, where you would expect to drop the syllables and put the rhythms on the beat.
He's very fluid.
Yeah.
Like he's moving.
It's like a drunken master kung fu type of a
dude. Drunken
thing,
master,
you know?
Drunken master. Yes,
he puts his syllables like drunken master, but the way that they just flow. Okay, so then my question for you is, do you see what I mean? In likening it to Victoria Legrand, or am I crazy?
I'm thinking about it now. I do get sort of what you mean in that they both share the ability to be like at the same time right on the beat and in between it and anticipate it and behind it. Like they're very like fluid singers. They're not like angular. They're really rounded off. And I'm talking about their like kind of their rhythmic ability specifically.
Right. Exactly. It's specifically a rhythmic thing.
It's literally like a round. It's like an approximate. I'm approximately right on the beat.
Yes.
Which is an oxymoron.
And always in the pocket.
In the pocket, yeah.
Always.
It's more specifically, they are in between beats in a very satisfying way.
Yes. And those of you listeners who are listening for some kind of like, very concrete thing of like, how is it in and it's not? How is it off the beat yet in the pocket? What the fuck are you talking about?
Listen to it.
It's exactly. This is why people say that some things are more art than science.
Yeah.
Like that. Thus is the majestic conundrum and paradox that music is.
Yeah.
You can be free from the beat and fucking rock steady in the pocket at the same time. And what does that mean?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's
that's music,
Yeah. The album's it's a magic trick. And
Yeah.
Gregory Isaacs is holding a little scarf in front of our face and goes, whoosha, it's the best album you've ever heard, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yes. That was recorded in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
And not in Jamaica.
Yeah, I think you convinced me on that. I totally.
It has to be, right?
It makes so much more sense because there are no studios that sound like this in Jamaica from this time period. There just isn't. Like, there's stuff that sounds really good and it's close to as good as this.
It sounds really good,
but it's not as good as this.
But nothing that just like mysteriously sounds exactly like all these other recordings that are coming from this one place. Where Flabba has this like incredibly detailed story about recording there, and to the credit
of a lot of the engineers at the time, I would credit the records that came out of Jamaica that do like approach sounding this good. I credit more the engineers than I do the studio, the studio space itself. It's like it is more that the engineers themselves and the technicians working on it were so good. Like, and I'm speaking like specifically of like a guy like Scientist right now. Like, he was so good at what he did that he was able to take maybe like a subpar environment and turn it into basically hi-fi, like in my opinion, a lot of the times.
Yeah, I mean, those guys, they created their own standard of fidelity.
Yes.
In the circumstances, you know what I mean? And it's really interesting because that is a standard of fidelity, like that, where drums hit so hard and vocals cut so clearly, vocals that are so intelligible, and bass sounds that are so fucking huge, yet don't ruin the master. Like that. All of us other engineers from other parts of the world this is a dragon that we chase to try to accomplish what this community of engineers accomplished, and we can't do it.
Yeah, we can't do it. And they know it. They know it too.
And they know it.
The guys that are still around, like scientists knows that like he can't.
Because they didn't have the facilities with this high of a budget like Compass Point Studios.
Yeah.
they made their own new standard of fidelity.
They were forced into that like budget, creativity, genius scenario that we were talking about. Yeah.
And there's lots of other examples of that happening in different, points in history and places in the world. And that's where a lot of great artistic and musical things come out of,
Yeah. All right. We got to end it. We're going super long. Brandon, if you have any closing words, I would love to hear them right after I remind everybody that we are a band and all of our music is on blackmarketdub.bandcamp.com. We also have a blog. We have bonus episodes. We're about to record a brand new bonus episode where we're probably going to keep yapping about fucking scientists and how much better he is than us. All of that, plus ad-free video episodes. You don't have to deal with shitty YouTube amazing sponsors on YouTube.
Yes.
Glorious Mucinex commercials on YouTube. You don't have to deal with any of that. Plus, it's a pretty small community. We could use your help. We could use your support. We just got a couple new patrons. We're so excited about it. We hang out there. We chat. You guys can ask us fucking music questions. You can ask us how to play stuff.
One of our patrons takes advantage and just like asks us like, wait, I'm trying to figure out how to play this on guitar. How do you do this? And we're like, okay. And we just show them. Yeah. We do that for any of you guys.
You can ask me the most complex musical questions that I'll immediately pass off to Brandon. You can have that. That can be something that you can experience yourself. So patreon.com/blackmarketdub. Also, we have a whole bunch of vinyl. You can buy it on Bandcamp or go to escapepatchrecords.com. There's a bunch of our stuff over there, plus all of our compatriots and fellow label mates music on there. That's all really amazing. And with that, Brandon, please usher us out with some beautiful Gregory Isaacs quotes.
All right. So, though I may not dress in style as the men in your town do, but I sure know how to say, I love you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.